Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the game preview, Southampton versus Everton tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. The Blues are back after the international break. Of course, Everton picking up our first Premier League win of the season before the international break against West Ham United at Goodison Park. We then had the break which saw, as I suppose we expected, one of Everton's better players picking up a long-term injury, which again further proves the point that these international breaks are absolute, complete and utter nonsense. But anyway, we won't go into that. But the Blues are back. Finally, Premier League football is back and Everton take the trip down to St Mary's tomorrow. The very long trip down to St Mary's tomorrow. I'll be going down there myself. I think we leave something ridiculous like 6 o'clock, 6:15 in the morning or something like that. It's a very, very early start. But these are the things that we do to go and watch Everton away from home. And as I said, Everton coming into this game with a fair bit of confidence. As I said, off the back of our first Premier League win of the season last time out, albeit there has been, of course, a week's break in between because of the international fixtures. But the feeling at the moment around the football club is certainly a positive one. Obviously, we know Jordan Pickford has been out for the last couple of weeks with a thigh injury. Frank Lampard did confirm yesterday in his pre-game press conference that Jordan Pickford is back and could return tomorrow against Southampton. He's fit, he's available in the team, and he has just won Premier League Save of the Month for September 2022 for his save against Darwin Núñez in the Merseyside derby, the one that he tipped onto the bar. So it's been a good couple of days for Jordan Pickford returning to fitness and winning that award as well. We obviously know Nathan Patterson's diagnosis now. That was confirmed by the club a few days ago. He is set to be out for around 4 to 5 weeks, so obviously he will not be involved tomorrow. But in terms of other injury news, the manager did say Dominic Calvert-Lewin could return. There was a strange sort of article earlier this morning from Dominic King in the Daily Mail saying that Dominic Calvert-Lewin has picked up another injury setback. However, it didn't actually detail an injury setback. It sort of was referring to the setback that Dom had faced a couple of weeks ago, and as I said, it didn't really make much sense given the article was published early this morning when the players wouldn't have trained, and as I said, the manager said yesterday that Dominic Calvert-Lewin could be in contention of featuring in this game tomorrow. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. I believe that Everton have put a training video out that Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't present in. At this point, I don't really know, and I don't think any of us really know whether Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be fit or won't be fit. We just sort of, I suppose, got to hope that he hasn't picked up a further injury, he hasn't picked up a further knock, and that if he is available tomorrow, he either features or he's given, at least a little bit of game time to sort of get some match fitness back up and running. But Everton are taking on Southampton. They currently sit 14th in the Premier League, directly below Everton, who of course are in 13th. They've won 2 games this season compared to Everton's 1, but they have drawn 1 game and lost 4, which of course is 2 more games than Everton have lost. Last time out, they were beaten by Aston Villa away from home. I'd sort of, as I said, a mixed start to the Premier League season. Southampton with that form, 7 points so far in all competitions, same as Everton. Everton above on goal difference. They were beaten by Wolves in the game before the Aston Villa game. Obviously, they had that postponement with Brentford before that one. They actually beat Chelsea just before that, 2-1. They were beaten by Manchester United, of course, in the Premier League at home. They beat Cambridge United in the second round of the EFL Cup, and then their first few fixtures were a defeat to Tottenham, quite a heavy defeat on the opening day of the season, a draw with Leeds, and they won at Southampton, which is, again, they won at Leicester, which again isn't particularly surprising given Leicester have been absolutely woeful this season. But wins, as I said, coming against Chelsea, which was quite a big one, and Leicester City away from home, shows that they've got quality, and they've definitely got quality to hurt teams and to get at teams. And as I said, they've had a very sort of mixed start to the Premier League season, very up and down start to the Premier League season. I'm still not completely convinced by Ralph Hasenhüttl, even though he's been in the Premier League for 3-4 years now. I'm still not massively convinced that he's the top manager that some people seem to think he is. But what do I know? I'm just an Everton fan who doesn't really watch Southampton an awful lot. He's still in a job, despite being beaten 9-0 on 2 different occasions in consecutive seasons, so that must mean he's doing something right. And as I said, this will be a difficult game, a really, really difficult game. Everton haven't got too bad of a record against Southampton away from home. Remember in years gone by with Romelu Lukaku, Aruna Kone, Ross Barkley, etc. We've had fixtures where we've gone down to St Mary's and absolutely wiped the floor with Southampton quite comfortably. But we've also had games in recent years where we've struggled significantly. And I remember going down there a couple of years ago, and I think we lost the game 2-1. And it wasn't a very good performance by any stretch of the imagination by Everton. In fact, I think we scored our goal with a couple of minutes to go after being absolutely battered for pretty much 85, 90 minutes of the game. So let's hope that isn't the case tomorrow, because as I said, it's a long journey. And Everton could really do with building on the momentum and the confidence that will have been taken from that win against West Ham United. West Ham, again, are a team that, and in a little bit of a sort of bad run at the moment and a little bit of a bad spell, and things aren't going too right for them. But they're still a team with a lot of quality in there, managed by a really good manager, and it was a really hard fought, and battling win for Everton last time, off the back, of course, of 4 straight draws. We haven't lost a game since that Aston Villa game on the second week of the season, touch wood. So Everton are in, fairly good form ourselves. Granted, we've only managed to get 1 win on the board, and obviously we'd have liked more than that, and there was definitely games that we could have won. Brentford away sticks out, Leeds away sticks out, games that we probably should have gotten 3 points in. Even the Merseyside derby, you could argue that point as well. But we all knew, and we've all been able to sit down and address it. And certainly, I think during this international break, we've all been able to sit down and address that things have been going in the right direction. Things have been very positive recently, and it was all about just getting that first 3 points of the season. And obviously, we did that last time out against West Ham, and now it's about building on that. We've got 8 games before the World Cup break, of course. 8 games that, again, Everton should be targeting to pick up as many points as possible. And that was, almost what Frank Lampard said in his pre-game press conference yesterday. He was asked about, what the goals are and what the aims are between now and the World Cup. I think it was almost called a mini season. And Frank said it's simple. It's to get as many points as we possibly can. We've got Southampton away, as we mentioned, Manchester United at home next week, Tottenham away, which of course will be a difficult game, Newcastle away, again difficult. We've then got Palace at home, Fulham away, and Leicester City at home, and then we've got a couple of games against Bournemouth as well before that break until the 26th of December when we play Wolves at Goodison. So there's definitely winnable games in there, and I think this game tomorrow against Southampton is one of those winnable games. As I said, there's a couple of difficult ones in there. Newcastle away and Tottenham away will be incredibly difficult, but this game against Southampton, I think Everton should be targeting to go out and get all 3 points in. And you could sit here and say, well, a point wouldn't be the worst result in the world because we're away from home and we're against a team that have had a similar start to the season than we have in terms of their points. As I said, very hot and cold. I've watched Southampton a couple of times this season, and one week they look really sharp and they look really on it, and they've got quality and they're doing well going forward, and the next week they don't look particularly good whatsoever. And I suppose it's that inconsistency that we are, as Evertonians, very familiar with at this football club. So it will be a tough game. It will be a battling game. It's away from home, of course. As I said, our last 2 away performances, I think, have been pretty impressive against Brentford and Leeds United. Again, the Brentford game, we really should have won. We really should have held on to. And, the Leeds United game, we were, a centimetre away from Damari Gray being onside, and we'd have won that game as well. So if we could go out and get all 3 points tomorrow, it would be absolutely massive. Not only because it's a win away from home, but also because it continues that momentum and continues that confidence going into next week, which obviously is against an informed Manchester United team, a Manchester United team who have just had the Player of the Month and the Manager of the Month award go to Marcus Rashford and Erik ten Hag individually. So yeah, again, I'm not trying to look too far ahead into the future because, as I said, Southampton will be tough. It will be a battle. We know the quality that they've got in their side. The likes of James Ward-Prowse, of course, is an incredibly experienced Premier League player now, pardon me. He's been away with the England team on a number of occasions, and whilst he mightn't be getting an awful lot of game time for England, he's still a player that can cause problems. He's still a player that can cause issues. We obviously Che Adams, of course, as well. He was away with Scotland in the international break. Again, a player that can cause issues and a player that can definitely hurt teams if you're not careful. And they've made a couple of smart signings this summer as well that have improved their team and, ultimately have helped them I suppose, build that bit of that bit of core to sort of have a better season than they did last season. Ainsley Maitland-Niles being one of them, coming in from Arsenal. Of course, they have lost Armando Broja, of course, who was there on loan last season from Chelsea, which is a big loss considering his season last season, getting involved in a number of goals and in a number of crucial games for Southampton. So that is a big loss for them. But of course, they've got the likes of Che Adams in there who will I suppose, I don't know if he's as good as Armando Broja, but he's definitely a player that can put the ball in the back of the net. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, and he will certainly give James Tarkowski and Connor Cody a difficult afternoon tomorrow. One thing I would say is I'm just glad to be playing a Southampton team without Danny Ings in, to be perfectly honest with you, because every single time we play against Danny Ings, he scores, as proven already this season. So when I first, was thinking about this game and looking ahead to it and thinking about, player comparisons and who we've got to look out for, the first player that come to mind was just Danny Ings, because he haunts me. But then I realised, he doesn't actually play for Southampton anymore, which is a big positive. But no, realistically, for me, Everton should be targeting 3 points tomorrow. As I said, okay, it's away from home, and away games are certainly never easy, especially not for Everton, as we've seen in previous seasons. Last season being the most noticeable. We only picked up two away wins all season last season. And again, that performance at St Mary's last season wasn't particularly impressive. Let's just say that. So again, it's not like we can sit here and go, this is an easy game to win. We should be looking at this and walking through Southampton, because that's never how it happens. That's never the case. But given the momentum that we've picked up, I think given the confidence that the team have got at the moment, I think we should be going into this with that confidence. And as I said, okay, we picked up our first win, and then they had an international break, which probably didn't come at a great time for us. It come at a good time for certain things. For example, allowing Jordan Pickford to get back to full fitness whilst only missing one game. Dominic Calvert-Lewin hopefully becoming fitted as well. But it didn't come at a great time in regards to obviously the momentum and what it could have done by playing this game against Southampton, a week after that win against West Ham. They beat us 2-0 last season at St Mary's, 2 second-half goals. Stuart Armstrong, again, a player Everton should be looking out for, very, very talented. And Shane Long got a late second goal. Shane Long, who, again, is one of those players that only really scores against Everton. Again, it's never really an easy afternoon. As I said previously, okay, we've had some comfortable wins against Southampton away from home, but that was when we had again, Romelu Lukaku in the team, who was an absolute, a goal-scoring monster, and ultimately loved the game against Southampton. I think they were his sort of, team that he always turned up against, a little bit like Danny Ings is with Everton. But as I said, I think Everton should be going into this one, and Frank Lampard and the boys should be going into this one really, really confident, because it's not just like we've only gotten our first win of the season last time out, and before that we've been awful. We're undefeated in 5. We had 4 draws on the bounce before that win, and as I said, 4 games that on another day we could have won. Okay, the Nottingham Forest one was a little bit different, because we only managed to, we weren't particularly great in that game, but certainly Brentford, Leeds and Liverpool were all games that on another day could have gone our way, and we could be sitting here on 4 wins this season as opposed to 1. So I'm never confident with Everton going away from home, because Everton are away from home, and that says a lot in itself. And I actually, over the international break, I was sitting down and I was thinking about Everton's away record, and particularly me involving Everton away games. And the reason I say that is because I've been all around the world to watch Everton. I've been to America, I've been to Croatia, I've been to France, I've been all around the country, St Mary's, Ellen Road, Aston Villa, Tottenham. I've been everywhere, and I've never seen Everton win a game away from home. So maybe I'm the problem, and to rub salt in the wounds of everybody watching, I'm going tomorrow as well. So let's hope that sort of case or whatever it is can end tomorrow. But like I said, for me, this is a very, very, very winnable game. It will be difficult. It will, because they've got players that can certainly hurt Everton. James Ward-Prowse, if you give him the time, if you give him the space, if you allow him, space with 25 yards out and allow him to hit a shot, there's a high likelihood that it will be on target. And obviously we don't really know the goalkeeper situation. We know Jordan Pickford is back fit and available to play. Whether or not Frank Lampard will start him, or whether or not Frank Lampard will give Asmir Begovic another go, considering Asmir Begovic put in quite a solid performance last time out against West Ham United, made a couple of key saves that ultimately we're pivotal in us getting all 3 points in the end. However, you then have that argument with, well, if Jordan's back fit, then Jordan's, the number one goalkeeper. And, if he's fit, he should be playing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But, as I said, again, it will be tough, and there's not a team in the Premier League this season that you will see me on a preview say, especially if Everton are away, you'll see me saying, I expect us to turn up and blather them here, because we just don't do that away from home. But I have got an air of confidence that Everton can turn up and certainly get something out of this game. I'd be disappointed if we don't come away with a win. And I know some people would say, Cam, it's an away game. If you were to say a draw now, I'd snatch your hand off for it, and that's fine. But I just think this is another one of those games that is very winnable. And when you're talking about the 8 games that we've got now before the World Cup, we've sort of got to pick up as many points as possible. And Frank Lampard's got to pick up as many points as possible as well, because he wants to go into that break not being able to give anybody, whether it be the media or whether it be Everton's board, anybody any question as to his position as Everton manager. And look, I know us as fans aren't questioning that, and I know us as fans are very, very happy at the moment. But I think it's fair to say the majority are very, very happy with Frank Lampard and the way things are going, and what he's building at the football club and his relationship with the fans, etc., etc. But we all know already that the media are ready to jump on it as soon as anything bad happens, and we all know how much of an a hothead Farhad Mashiri can be in these situations as well. So I'm not saying Frank needs to have a really good period to keep his job, but we need it, really, considering I think we've dropped a lot of points already this season in games that, whilst we've played very well and whilst we've been very solid and we've been defensively great, and I think we've got the second best defensive record in the league, there's still games that we've dropped points in that we could have won. And I think, you look at a game like Southampton and, again, solid team, a couple of good players. But I think this Everton team with the back four that we know we've got, obviously there will be a change to it with Seamus Coleman coming in. And, the new midfield, the attack, Neil Maupay being in there. I think that we should be targeting going out for a win. Anthony, sorry mate, I forgot to text you because I've just started this. I've got wine in the fridge. I went out last night and bought some, so I'm all good. Thank you very much. But yeah, as I said, it will be tough, as every away game is. But I'm confident tomorrow. I am confident. Obviously, James Tarkowski, Conor Cody, they'll have had a break. Okay, Conor Cody's been away with England and will have trained and will have been up to that level to be able to step in if needed, but he wasn't needed. Amadou Onana's played for Belgium. Obviously, we know Garner and Iwobi have played as well for their respective international teams, but the majority of this team have had at least a little bit of a break. I know obviously Anthony Gordon went away with England and played really, really well actually with England, as did James Garner as well, which I think it has to be said as well. I think the club, when they were talking about England under 21, sort of forgot to mention how good James Garner was the other day. But I just think as I said, it just feels that there's something different at Everton at the moment. It feels like there's an air of confidence. It feels like there's an air of, again, positivity around the football club, and I don't know what the sort of the atmosphere is around Southampton at the moment, because ultimately I'm not around Southampton. I don't really have any interest in knowing that. But as I said, what we do know is that it's a very, very confident one around the football club, around Everton Football Club at the moment, and one that we have to sort of make the most of with that. Let's get into some of the comments then before we do go into our predicted starting 11. I don't know why I went to say A11 then. If you are enjoying, by the way, and you are watching live, please do hit that like button. If you're watching live and you want to get involved in the comments. We'll get involved with as many of them. And if you're watching this YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below because it only takes a second. Pickford wins Premier League save of the month, says Eugene. He does, and as he should, by the way. And again, it absolutely baffles me that Jordan Pickford has won Save of the Month, and the last performance by an England goalkeeper, being Nick Pope, was one of the worst goalkeeper performances I've ever seen. And yet there's still some football fans that don't think that Jordan Pickford is absolutely undisputed England's number one. I mean, if you are still at this point questioning whether Jordan Pickford should be England's number one, do me a favour and go and watch cricket or something. Go and watch cricket, go and watch rugby, go and watch Mary Berry on the Bake Off, who's a toffee, by the way, which I didn't know. Go and watch I don't know, loose women or something, because football isn't for you. Well earned, says Wonderlust. Jebbo says, yo, what's happening? 11 men couldn't stop Frank Lampard, 11-10 and so on. No one with a forklift could stop Frank Lampard. Ed says, be interesting to see the dynamic with Seamus back tomorrow. I hope he can get up and down as Patterson has been doing. That's been vital to our recent form. I'll be at the game, come on you Blues. Is right, Ed, love to see it. It is very interesting, the Seamus Coleman thing, and look, I know a couple of people have been flirting with the idea of, what do you make of Thelwell leaving so soon? What's that about? I haven't heard anything like that. Sorry, I will get into that comment in a second. I haven't heard anything about Kevin Thelwell leaving Everton. Kevin Thelwell appointment announces Everton departure after just 5 months. What? Oh, Kevin Nicholson. It is. It's not Kevin Thelwell who's left. I didn't really know much about him. To be honest, obviously he's had an opportunity elsewhere, and he's taken that opportunity elsewhere. I'm sure Kevin Thelwell can go and find a suitable replacement, as he has done with everybody else he's employed during his time at the football club so far. Anyway, the Seamus Coleman situation, it's an interesting one because, as I said, there's been a couple of people flirting with the idea of it not being Seamus that starts, and what happens if it's Stanley Mills, or what happens if it's Iwobi back. Let's be honest, it's Seamus Coleman. Seamus Coleman will start this game tomorrow, as he should, because A, he is the backup right back, and our number one right back is now out injured, and B, he's not done anything to show that he shouldn't start this game tomorrow. We can all sit here and say, yeah, but he wasn't great, and he's on the decline, and he's not being great. That's why he's now not number one. That's why the club had to go out and replace him, and the club did. Now that the replacement for Seamus Coleman is out injured because of an absolutely nonsense international game, Seamus now steps in. Now, I have no problem with Seamus Coleman playing tomorrow, because I have no problem with Seamus Coleman being a player that comes in every now and then, has an involvement every now and then, plays the odd game, because I actually think Seamus Coleman, when not having to play week in, week out, and not having that pressure of having to play week in, week out, I actually think Seamus Coleman can put in, really, really, really good performances. The problem with Seamus is when he's having to play week in, week out. The problem with Seamus is when he's having to play 4, 5, 6 games on the bounce. And unfortunately, that might be the case now, because we've got, I think, 8 weeks or 7 weeks of solid Premier League football now before the World Cup break. So you may see a couple of good Seamus Coleman performances over the next couple of weeks, and then you may see a couple of, I don't want to say typical Seamus Coleman performances, because that's doing him a disservice, but, the Seamus Coleman that we're maybe more accustomed to now, which we know is not good enough, because obviously of having to play week in, week out. I don't think Seamus will be a problem tomorrow. I absolutely don't think Seamus will be a problem tomorrow, and I don't think Everton will have to change the way in which we play to accommodate Seamus Coleman. Seamus, in his day, was very similar to what Nathan Patterson is now. Now, obviously, there's 10 years between them, near enough, and Seamus can't do what Nathan Patterson can do, and that's why Nathan Patterson has been brought in. But you rewind back to a 22, 23-year-old Seamus Coleman, in those late seasons of David Moyes, early Roberto Martinez seasons, very, very similar to what Nathan Patterson is bringing us. Now, you may say, well, that would mean that we'd have to change the way in which we play, because Seamus isn't able to do that anymore. Look, Seamus isn't going to get forward as much as Nathan Patterson does, and let's be honest, let's not sit here. I love Nathan Patterson, and I actually think Nathan Patterson has been, there's an argument to say he's been our best player this season. Now, obviously, Iwobi, Onana, Cody, Tarkowski, there's a lot of names that you could put forward for that argument, but Nathan Patterson is definitely one of them. He's been excellent defensively. He's been excellent. He's been solid. He's rock hard. He battles. He works hard. He fights for the badge. He's been absolutely phenomenal. But it's not like we're sitting here talking about a Nathan Patterson who's sitting on, 3 assists and 2 goals this season, or we're sitting here thinking, oh my God, we're going to desperately miss his assists or his goals going forward. He's not scored for Everton yet, and I'm not too sure he's got an assist in the Premier League. I don't think he has. We can't really sit here and say, yeah, but, he doesn't offer as much as Nathan Patterson does, because Nathan hasn't really, fully grown into that quality, going forward right back. Defensively, I think he's one of the best in the league. I really, really do. In fact, I think he's the best in the league at the moment defensively. Going forward, very different. Seamus won't get it up as much as as Nathan will do, and Seamus won't be as athletic as Nathan Patterson is. Therefore, whoever's playing on that right-hand side, be it Damari Gray, be it Anthony Gordon, be it Dwight McNeil, whoever it may be, will probably have to work a lot more because you haven't got Nathan Patterson running up and down behind you. That, I don't think means we're going to have to change the entire system or the way we play. I think it just means that whoever's on that right-hand side will have to do a little bit more. And let's be honest, Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon, they've worked very, very, very hard recently. Very, very, very hard. Especially Damari Gray, who I think has been excellent in terms of his work rate in recent weeks. So that won't make much difference. That won't make much difference to it whatsoever. My worry is when we're 3 or 4 weeks down the line, Tottenham away, Fulham away, and Seamus is still playing, having not had a break. That is where I think you'll start to see the sort of the fitness issues and the stamina issues, etc. But ultimately, there's nothing we can do about it. There's not a chance Stanley Mills is ready for Premier League football. And I know you can say, well, calm out, if a player's ready unless you give them a chance. I watched him in America. He was very good against Arsenal. He was not very good against Minnesota. He's not ready for Premier League football. He's still a kid. He's still very, very young. And what message does that send out to Seamus Coleman of, you're not even second choice, lad, because we're going to play a kid ahead of you? What I do think will help Everton, and what I hope will help Everton, is Seamus comes in for the next couple of weeks, maybe plays the next couple of games on the bounce, and then you might see Mason Holgate returning from injury, and then you might see Mason being able to go out there and do a job at right back. I'm not really sure whether Ben Godfrey will be back before the World Cup break, but if he is, then you may see Ben Godfrey coming back and being able to do that job as well, and the responsibility will sort of be shared between the three of them rather than just Seamus Coleman. Anyway, let's jump back into the comments. The Blues says, think that will be the knock. Bobble has already said, and Dom King just now confirming it. Maybe can't see us risking Dom tomorrow. I think he needs a couple of weeks training before. I think he'll be on the bench, Dom, tomorrow. I don't think he will start. In a way, I don't really see the point in starting him because Neil Maupay, I think, has been absolutely excellent in his first couple of Everton appearances and got his first goal for Everton against West Ham United. So I don't think there's a need to throw Dominic Calvert-Lewin straight in there. If he's not on the bench, then it's obvious that he's not ready or has picked up another injury. But if he is on the bench, then it's clear that they just don't want to take that risk. Ultimately, we don't know that. We don't know that yet. And Gord says, I'm hoping for a good win tomorrow. Aren't we all, mate? Aren't we all? Anyway, let's get into our predicted starting 11 then, because that's what we do in every preview, and why would this one be any different? In goal, I am going for Jordan Pickford. Now, this might be a little bit harsh on Asmir Begovic, who I thought was excellent against West Ham. I really, really did. But if Jordan is fit, which the manager said he is, if Jordan is back, which the manager said he is, then I just don't see why Jordan Pickford wouldn't be playing. Ultimately, he's Everton's number one. Ultimately, he's England's number one. And ultimately, he's a goalkeeper. So it's not so much of... It's not as, much of the same as if he was a midfielder or an attacker. And you could sort of say, well, maybe he needs a little bit more time to... to get his match fitness back up. He's a goalkeeper. He hasn't been out for very long. He's only missed one game. Now, okay, one of the games was postponed. But he's only missed a couple of weeks, and I think if he's fit and he's available and he's ready, then he absolutely should be playing. And that's nothing against Asmir Begovic, who, as I said, I thought done a decent job against West Ham. It's just that Jordan Pickford is our number one. Left back, I'm going for Vitaly Mykolenko. Again, couple of calls during the international break. I've seen a couple of people on Twitter, sort of debating whether or not Ruben Vinagre should be in there. I actually don't think Vitaly Mykolenko's been too bad this season. Okay, maybe hasn't had as good of a start to the season as he did end last season, and I think that is a fair. I think that's a fair criticism of his. I actually think he was very, very good against West Ham. I thought he was very, very good against West Ham. Thought he was one of the better players on the pitch. And don't get me wrong, I think everybody was, played their part against West Ham. But I thought he was, I thought it was his best performance of the season. And whilst I have no burning problem with Ruben Vinagre, or maybe I'd be interested to see what Ruben Vinagre could bring in terms of going forward and maybe a different dynamic to this team. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. I don't think there's a need to take Vitaly Mykolenko out. I think Vitaly Mykolenko is being okay this season, but again, specifically, I thought he was good against West Ham. And I think changing both fullbacks when there's not a necessity to change both fullbacks, I think would be a bit of a silly move by Frank. So I'm going to go with Mykolenko. Centre backs, obvious do we even need to have the conversation? Tarkowski and Cody, the pair of them have been absolutely phenomenal recently. They will have a job on their hands tomorrow to not only deal with the physicality and presence of Che Adams, but also with the ability of the likes of Stuart Armstrong, with the ability of the likes of James Ward-Prowse. But I've got no issue whatsoever with I've got no doubt whatsoever that they won't be able to deal with those two players, because the pair of them are just absolutely phenomenal. So they're in there for me. Of course, again, absolutely excellent this season. For me, it's a case of just signing Conor Cody on a permanent deal now. And Tarkowski has been absolutely excellent as well. And maybe if they were England's centre-back partnership, maybe England would have a better chance at some form of trophy. Not that I particularly give a shit about England, but I read an article today about James Tarkowski talking about England, so I thought I'd mention it. And then right back, as we've just mentioned, Seamus Coleman. Obviously, we all know the situation with Nathan Patterson, unfortunately. We wish Nathan a very, very speedy recovery and hope that he's back very, very soon, because, as I said, he's been arguably our best player this season. There's an argument for other players, but he's been excellent. Again, I have no issue with Seamus playing tomorrow. I actually think Seamus will play well tomorrow, because this has happened on previous occasions where Seamus has been out the team for a few weeks, and that first game back, he's always very, very good, and then it's the 4th, 5th game back when he's been playing consistently where he starts to have problems. So I've got no real issue with Seamus playing tomorrow. He will play because he's the backup right back and he's the club captain. Of course, he should play. But yeah, in the midfield, I'm going with a midfield three of Amadou Onana, Adissa Gay, and Alex Iwobi. I don't see the reason for needing to change this midfield. The three of them were phenomenal against West Ham. Garner just slotted right in there like he'd never left, and just showed exactly how good of a footballer he is, and also showed exactly how much more improved he is in his general game, his passing, his movement, his sprinting, how much he's improved since leaving Everton. No surprise there, because he's been playing with Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, Verratti, and various other absolute world-class footballers, so obviously he's going to have improved. Onana again was absolutely excellent against West Ham United. A real difference maker in that game, and obviously has played some international football during the break. And from what I've read, I didn't watch the Belgium game, but from what I've read, people have been very, very, very impressed with Onana. And then Iwobi is first name on the team sheet, isn't he, really? There's no real need to sit here and have a long conversation about Alex Iwobi. He should start, he's been absolutely excellent, and he was absolutely robbed of the Player of the Month award, let's be honest. And then the front three, I'm going with Demarai Gray, Anthony Gordon, and Neil Maupay. If I'm being honest, I think even if Dominic Calvert-Lewin is available in regards to being the matchday squad, I don't think he will start this game. I wouldn't really see the point in him starting this game. I know some people could say, well, if he's fit and he's there, then he should, because he's our best striking option. But the reality is, Neil Maupay has been, excellent in his first couple of appearances for Everton. His work rate has been phenomenal. He got his goal against West Ham, which was an excellent finish as well. And I just don't think throwing Dom in there and keeping Neil Maupay out of there would make any sense whatsoever. If Dom's fit and available, then he's an option to bring off the bench with 20-30 minutes to go. But again, we don't even know whether that's going to be the case at the moment. So Neil Maupay up front, the two wingers are pretty much solid as well for me. I don't think Dwight McNeil has done enough to displace one of them. Again, Anthony Gordon, quite impressive during the international break, got a really good assist for England under 21s, and Demarai Gray, I think, again, probably had his best game this season against West Ham as well. So, yeah, that is the team. Obviously, I want to see the likes of James Garner being involved. I'd love to see James Garner coming off the bench. He's had a couple of weeks now at the football club, a month or so at the football club, so he's definitely settled in. He's played in the international break alongside Anthony Gordon for England's under-21s. Actually was really impressive at the bar and made a couple of really big challenges in that game. So it would be nice to see him coming off the bench and getting at least 20-25 minutes to showcase his ability, maybe when somebody like a Garner or an Onana needs a little bit of a break, because they've played in the international break as well. But yeah, there you go. That is my predicted starting 11. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comments. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Let me know down below. If you're watching live, let us know live before we do finish up. Peter says, we now have leaders all over the pitch, so expect us to start winning away games, although I would settle for a 1-1 draw. Yeah, I really think that this is a game we should be targeting to win tomorrow, if I'm being honest, I do. Sam says, yes, Top, I like the firm. Is right, Sam. Nice one, my mate. The Blues says, spot on, Cam. Think the talk about Miko this season is nonsense. He's been solid and always put great crosses in, but no one is there to head them. He's put some good passes in over the top as well, I agree. Bigger than Allgate in training, says Swanky, is right. As long as Coleman isn't ridden hard and pour away wet between now and the World Cup, will be sound. I actually agree. I think Seamus is more than capable of stepping in and doing a good enough job as long as he's not overused. Let's go, Cam. Get the 3 points tomorrow, says Luke. And Anthony says, go ahead, I'll book a cab for $5.50 in the morning. Just that alone is making me realise how early I've got to get up. Anyway, look, we are going to leave it there then. As I said, again, it will be difficult because it's Everton away from home, and Everton away from home is always difficult. And again, it's against the Southampton team who were very hit and miss this season. You don't know whether 1 week they're going to turn up and be great, or 1 week they're going to turn up and not be so good. But I just feel with the way we're playing at the moment, with the confidence in the team, with the momentum that we're taking from the win against West Ham, I think we can win this game. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, if we come away with a point, it's not the worst result in the world. I think a loss would be devastating because of, obviously, we're unbeaten in 5. But I think if you look at, if we're looking at any away games and targeting wins in away games, if we're going to concede that we're not going to win any away games, then fine. But that's nonsense. We can't do that. If we're looking at away games and away games to win, this is one of them for me. So let's hope so. Anyway, massive thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. Big thanks to everybody for watching live. I really appreciate it. If you're watching a YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below and we'll get involved with as many of them as we can. I'll be at the game tomorrow, so the instant match reaction and the play ratings will be up as and when I can get them up, really. But yeah, let's hope that we can go out there and get all 3 points. Massive thank you all for watching. As I said, please do leave a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Big thank you all. And up the fucking Toffees. Nice one for watching. We'll see you later.